Favorite thing about Saturday was?
Looking back on it, I actually felt better about it than I did at the time. That second quarter was a little bit gross there.
Mm-hmm.
They squandered some opportunities to score. But then when I look back at it overall, I came away more impressed. I went back and watched it, and I think what really impressed me was I just saw some relentlessness in effort on both sides of the ball and special teams. I mean, it seemed like almost every play I watched, even till late in the game, guys were just playing with tremendous passion and effort, and it's just good to see that, especially in a game that you had in hand pretty early on.
It's funny you say that. You and I have the exact same feeling about this game. In the moment, I was pissed that they did it again, that they couldn't leave well enough alone, that they had to butcher something like they do every week that leaves us all frustrated for a moment, and it seems to come out of nowhere. There was also another series in this game that was gross, and I think it was Florida State's second series when they were up 7-0, and we go 3 and out, and all three are asinine plays. Jordan doesn't know what he's doing. He gets sacked on one. Another time he holds the ball too long, misses a target by 50 yards. Right. And then, that series was hideous. I don't know how that happens, but at least once a game, you have a series where you go, what was that? And I guess that's just who they are. But you're right. The more I look back on it, the more I thought, okay, this was a team doing what they should do to an outmatched team. They dominated this game.
Well, I think, man, if you've got a combination of very good talent, which they have, a lot of experience, which they have, and if you just play really hard, good things are going to happen. So I think to me, that's where, I'm kind of focusing. It was interesting to hear Mike Norvell and Alex Atkins both talk today about the number of missed assignments on offense. And then when you combine that with some of the frustration we saw from Jordan Travis during that game, I think that might explain why some things were disjointed in the first half. And I think it probably has a lot more to do with players not named Jordan Travis. So they have to get that stuff ironed out, especially against a really good defense this week. But again, I think that things are coming together for this team.
What'll be interesting is I think that unlike last year, we came out of the 3-game losing streak last year, and I came on here and said, you know what, I think they're going to win the rest of their games. I thought the schedule set up nicely for it. Now they've been so impressive so far this year. They're 6-0. They won the games they had to win. They ended a losing streak against Clemson. They're rightfully the number 4 team in the country. They're geared for the playoff. And yet you feel like this is going to be a rockier road down the stretch here. I think this Duke team starts a road that's going to be kind of tough. You got to go take it. Not saying they won't do it, but Duke is well coached. They're very physical up front. I think you pointed out last night on the Smash, and I agree with you, that the offensive line is not as good as we thought it was going to be. They're a little bit inconsistent. They've also been banged up. But this is a stretch of games where if you don't play well and you don't run offense and you resort back to what you did against Clemson, you could get beat. Now, I don't think they will, but this Duke game starts as one of many, because I think Miami will play you hard if they haven't quit. We'll see if they've quit. And I think Florida down there in the swamp will be tough. And we'll see. This game here could be tough.
I think that's fair. I mean, Pitt showed a pulse this weekend as well. You can see a situation where they're in some games. I do feel like this particular week, though, I think sets up great. Just because I think you're looking at you get Duke as a top 20 team.
Yep.
You can point to their defensive statistics. And the fact that Florida State is getting healthier again, where, Norvell sounded very confident Johnny Wilson's going to be available. He said he practiced late last week. He said Bless Harris is definitely going to be available. So again, I just, from a, so often with, if you're a sporting man, gentleman like yourself,
yep,
you look for spots. I really think Florida State's in a great spot in this game. Now, it'll be a challenge, but I do think Florida State's going to play really, really well.
Yeah, and if Duke is without their quarterback, Riley Leonard, then this becomes a really tough task. Obviously, it's one thing to
or even if he's just limited.
Correct. Yeah, if he's not able to run around, because when he runs, he is a talented runner. He can run away from you. And, we don't think he's going to do that, even if he plays. So that's a good point by you. And I just think, it's one thing to manhandle a bad NC State defense like they did over the weekend and win with your second-string quarterback. Come in here if you have to play a second stringer at quarterback, and then that defense has to hold down this offense for 4 quarters. I think that's going to be very difficult. You're right. It's a good position for the game to be at. And it's really beneficial. Tom and I were talking about earlier, Ira, I wonder if you think this too. When we were looking for ways to impress in the we talk about the future of the committee deciding which 4 teams are going to go to the playoff. Well, you need games on your ledger that kind of stand out. And this turned into one, whereas before the season, we would not have thought that to be the case. But now you'll be able to add this to the already impressive LSU win and Clemson win. All of a sudden, Duke's a top 20 team.
100%. I agree. And, I think Mike Elko's got a ton of respect. That game against Notre Dame was so high profile. There were so many eyeballs on that. And they had it won until about 30 to 40 seconds left in the game. So I think all of that adds to it. And I also, I think, man, it's good to see that LSU is. Tom and I talked about it last night. It's good to see LSU seems to be kind of reclaimed its footing, because that's the game I think that is going to stir the drink for them the rest of the season. If LSU continues to play really well, if they knock off an Alabama or they get the SEC championship game again, I really think this resume will start to shine, and this Duke game would be a big part of it.
Did you get as giddy? I mean, I know you've got to be completely objective, and you're certainly right that way, but I'm wondering if you were as giddy as I was when you saw the Hakeem Williams touchdown. Because, that's different right there.
I never knew he was going to be that kind of speed. I figured, he's got a good body. He's athletic. He's really a smart kid. I thought he would turn into a really good college receiver. I didn't know he'd be running away from people. And that's a good Syracuse defense. They've got athletes over there, and that was something I did not expect at all. And we were out there every day at practice, and I didn't know he had that kind of speed. That was impressive.
Shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
And he looked like, to me, like that's not somebody you want to tackle. I thought a couple of those Syracuse kids were like, no, man, this game's over. I don't need to get my head in there. I mean, that was nuts to see a kid that big run that way.
Well, I was going to say, and also what's really cool about it, again, is I don't think it can be overstated. We saw him when he got here in January. We saw him in the tour of duty, in the spring practice, and it's off. It happens a lot of times where a guy that's that highly acclaimed coming out of high school isn't really in shape when they get to college. But to turn it around this quickly, to humble himself and work as hard as he had to have to become what he's become now, it's impressive. I think it says a lot about what his future might be. You
are 100% right. I'm glad you brought it up. We joked about it. He was a hamburger away from being a tight end when he got here. He was a big kid. Like, he's an impressive athlete, but he looked way too big to play receiver, and I was worried he was going to grow out of it. Now he has the body type to be a dominant receiver. He loves to block, too. He's got the right mentality. So now he's got the speed to go with the mentality. He'll hit you. He's physical. Yeah, it's exciting. They've got a lot of future in that room right now that you get excited about, I do believe.